Okay. So, okay. Hi. I've been meaning to make this video for months and months, and I've just kept putting it off because I haven't had the time, or I just couldn't be bothered to make the video because it's something that I've passed now. But I still get so many questions from just friends, people that I know when I go out, people that have just seen my Instagram page, and I just want to post this on here so everyone can see it and I don't have to keep talking about it and making it feel or look like it's a big thing, because it's really not. This time last year in about September, I found out that I was 6 months pregnant. I didn't know. I took a pregnancy test in, I think, June, and it said I was negative. Now, so many people disbelieved me when I said this to them, and they're a bit sort of sceptical about the fact that a pregnancy test would come out negative if you were pregnant. And recently in the news it has come out in like the past couple of weeks that there has been a batch of 40 pregnancy tests that people have been using and have given the wrong results. So just wanted to put that out there. And yeah, so I found out I was pregnant, and the first thing that went into my head was, of course I'm not going to keep it. I'm 19, why would I want a child? I never planned to have children in my whole life. That was on the Wednesday. Me and my mum were like frantically rushing around trying to figure out where we could get a scan done so I could like try and speed it up, because the doctor had estimated me at 20 weeks pregnant from my belly, so that is within the time to get a termination. And the next day I had to travel all the way to West London, like completely the other side of London, just for a scan. And the lady said to me that I was 25 weeks and 3 days, so you can have a termination up to 24 weeks. And just like as a young girl, and you have your whole future ahead of you, I was in my second year of my course. I had so many things I wanted to do. I wanted to go and do a season in a different country, and it was just like everything had been shattered. And I've like honestly never felt so low in my whole entire life. It's just a completely different, I just can't even, it's just a completely different feeling that I just can't describe, because I was sitting there thinking, this is it, like it's inevitable that I'm going to give birth. There's absolutely no way I can escape this. Like, I am pregnant, I can't stop this here, I have to go through with this, I have to tell my dad. And you know, it's just difficult. I'm that girl from school that got pregnant when she was a teenager. Like, nobody wants to be that girl, and I was that girl, and I felt so ashamed that I was the girl who got pregnant and whatever. So when I found out, I told my 3 closest friends, and that was it. It was my family and my friends that knew, and I just wanted to keep it a secret. I just completely hid myself away for months. I just went off all social media. I didn't want anyone to know anything, and I just completely like incognito, because I didn't want anyone to know. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want people to know that I was going to put my child up for adoption, and that was my choice, because I felt ashamed at the fact that people were going to look at me and think, oh, how can you give a baby up for adoption, how can you do that? I mean, telling my dad was just horrible. As you can imagine, any dad would, you know, react in a particular way when you're a young girl, because no one would dream for that of their daughter. And he basically said to me that if I ever decided to keep my baby, that I wouldn't be allowed to live at home. So, which I understood to an extent, because my mum was really ill at that time. She'd just got over and was working through her cancer, and it was just a lot of pressure in the house, and I can understand that, but it was difficult for me to come to sort of terms with that he wouldn't want, you know, me and the baby to be a part of his life if I ever did want to keep her. And he just sort of distanced himself from the whole thing. He didn't want anything to do with it. And I was with my boyfriend at the time in a relationship, and the baby's father was my ex-boyfriend, and it was a very close amount of time from when I finished with my ex to meeting my boyfriend. And it was difficult because my ex-boyfriend didn't believe that the baby was his. He wanted a DNA test, and it was just like all of this stress at once just piled on top of me, and it was just too much to take, and I didn't want to be a part of it, but I couldn't, because I am the woman and I'm supposed to deal with it how we're told to. So that was really hard. The baby's dad didn't have anything to do with it in the pregnancy. I completely done it all by myself, and I mean, if I didn't have my mum, I really don't know what I would have done in that situation, because we went through everything together. I had to, in terms of the adoption, it was such a long process, and I had to have so many meetings with so many people. I had to write down if I had any preferences with who the potential adoptive parents would be, e.g. religion, race, and I just didn't care. I just did not care about the baby. I just wanted this to be over. I was so excited to look forward to the new year and not have this situation in my life. Just didn't care. And I also had to look on the other side, as if I were to keep my baby, then I would have to live in a hostel, because I would have essentially been evicted from my house. So I went with the social worker to all these different hostels and where I would have to live, and it's just what no parent would ever want for their child. And that is why, one of the completely main reason why I wanted to do this was because I loved this child, but I couldn't bring her up in a financially stable environment. I wouldn't have the means to pay for things on my own, and I'd done it out of love because I wanted her to have the very best life, and I could not provide that for her, or I thought at the time. So I went through all of that, and it was such a difficult mental journey for like 4 months, and it was just very hard for me to deal with, as I really felt alone, because not a lot of people that I know, I don't know anyone that had been in that situation at the same as me. Everyone seems to fall pregnant and that's it, they're keeping a baby. That just wasn't an option for me, and I just felt so ashamed at the fact that I was pregnant. So my plan was, when I'd given birth, I was going to voluntarily put my baby into foster care, and I still had all the parental rights. That was just me voluntarily putting her into care until I could make my decision of what I wanted to do. Because although my heart was set on I didn't want her, things are so different once you've given birth and you go through that draining emotional, mental journey of just giving birth, and it's just different when you carry the child. So I just wanted to be open to all aspects. And yeah, so when she was born, I didn't see her. I didn't want to have like skin to skin. I just didn't want it. I wanted her to come out and then just go away. I didn't want to see her. And she was in the section 15, so I thought that was going to be it. So after I'd given birth, a couple of hours after, I said to the midwife that I wanted to just see her and just say goodbye and take some pictures, because if she ever wanted to find me later when she was older, that she would know that it wasn't because I didn't love her. So I saw her, and she just looked like a dolly, just like a little dolly that just literally fit in your pocket. She was tiny, and I think for me, just looking at her, it was hard, but I was like, no, this is the right thing to do, this is like what I want to do. And then I remember a week after I'd given birth, I tried to write a letter to her for when she was older and she could look back and read everything that I went through and the whole mental journey of her dad not wanting to be there, my dad wanting to like essentially evict me from the house, me trying to build a relationship with my boyfriend whilst also being pregnant with someone else's child, and hiding myself from the world for 3 months, and yeah, and I just could not stop crying writing this letter. I could not stop crying, and I've realised that it wasn't the right thing to do. It was just like a maternal instinct that I was meant to be, and this was what I was meant to do. This is just the path that was there for me to do. So after lots of things, I chose to not put her up for adoption and keep her, and that was like another hurdle, because then I had to tell my dad that I was going to keep her, and he again was in shock. The same way he sort of reacted when I told him I was pregnant, he reacted that when I told him I was keeping her, and it was just difficult. But eventually he came round and said that Aliana and I could live at home with him and my mum, and that I would always have a roof over my head, and which I'm so very grateful for. I just have made this video to stop all the questions and all the wondering, and you know, just where did it come from. And with Mental Health Day awareness, Mental Health Awareness Day a couple of days ago, I really feel strongly on the point that every girl has a choice with their body and pregnancy and abortion and anything that they go through with it. I had a lot of people pulling me from both sides, trying to show me one aspect and trying to show me another, but no matter how many people try to tell you these negative or positive things that you might miss out on or whatever, it is always your decision, and you should never be ashamed of anything that you choose to do with your body, because it's your right. I want to say it to other girls, because I feel like there was no one there for me there was no one there for me that could understand what I was completely. It's just hard to try and talk to someone that just doesn't see your side, because it's such a difficult decision to make, and I don't think any mother should be ashamed if they put their child up for adoption, or if you choose to keep a child when you're really young. If you do something, you're always making that decision right by the child. And I'm really not ashamed to sit here and say that I went through that journey and that I wanted to place my daughter up for adoption, because it was completely out of love, and it was what I wanted for her, the best thing for her at that moment in time. I've just been through so much in such a short amount of time, and I've been rewarded with this beautiful child who I'm completely in love with, and I will literally walk to the end of the earth for. And not everything is plain sailing and happens smoothly and it's happy families and whatever, but it's, you know, how you deal with things and with the kind of person that it makes you, and it's made me such a stronger person today. And yeah, that's it really. If you're just interested about something, or you're going through something and you feel like you need just someone to talk to, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to be your therapist or whatever, but just someone that may potentially understand if you're going through something difficult or something the same as what I went through. Feel free to share this on to anyone that might need support in their life, or might just need to raise awareness about adoption and just mental health, to do with how people can struggle with stress